starting your own practice, getting involved, finding business. It's always the hard part, right? As people go in to start their own business, they're like, all right, well, what direction am I going to take? Obviously, you didn't have the legal background, so you wouldn't have had the clients there or any clients to bring across from a different firm. How important to your business was marketing in the business and actually bringing in, I guess, conversations about work and what you do for work? How important has marketing been to your business over the last 2 and a bit years that you've been running the practice?
Well, I had some experience running law firms. So I was, prior to starting my own firm, I was the CEO of a law firm for a few years, which put me in good stead for understanding how a law firm operates. I started my first company when I was in my 20s, and I've had a series of other enterprises since then. I think as an entrepreneur, it's almost like a disease. Once you get the bug, it's very hard to walk away, because the ideas come and you start thinking about how you can manifest these ideas and actually into some sort of commercial outcome. So running a law firm put me in good stead to understand what was required to get the firm going. But you're absolutely right from a marketing perspective. I started the firm. I didn't bring any clients over with me. I obviously hadn't worked as a lawyer for very long in the space, and I did have the dilemma of having to obviously get customers very quickly in order to keep my business cash flow positive and keeping myself in food and everything else, and kids in braces and all that sort of stuff. That's the dilemma that anyone has. It's easy to start a business when you're sort of in your 20s and you have no commitments. You can live, mum and dad, or in the car, who cares? But starting a business in your 40s, your life has matured. It's at a very different place. And usually your cost overhead structure is significantly higher than it was in the 20s. So that's the dilemma. Now, that was actually the dilemma that caused me to start my own law firm, because I knew I couldn't survive on grad wages, right? I mean, 40, 50 grand a year, they employ grad. I couldn't do that. I just couldn't sustain myself. So in many ways, starting a law firm was very much a necessity as opposed to a dream. But back to your point about marketing, one of the interesting things, marketing, obviously studying marketing at university, we understand it's all about push and pull strategies and brand recognition and knowing who your market is and knowing how to communicate with your market. Starting your own law firm is quite challenging because you don't know any of that, right? You don't know who your market is. You don't know where they are. You don't know how to communicate to them. And coming from my CEO role in the other law firm, which was a very old firm, the marketing really was quite a challenging scenario for a number of reasons.
Well, you don't see much law firms doing any sort of marketing.
Oh, well, a lot of it's by stealth, but there actually is a lot out there. And I think now that you've said that, you're probably going to see it. You'll start seeing it everywhere. Right?
Yeah, probably will.
You start seeing it everywhere. So, for example, I ran a Google AdWords campaign for a law firm when we were in Melbourne, and the cost per click to try and capture that footprint around the Melbourne CBD was significantly high. And a lot of the calls, there was a lot of inbound calls that came from it, but our cost per click, it was up $6-7 a click, I think, at some stages. It was extraordinarily high.
Yep.
And you get a lot of people just ringing around for, time wasters. They want free advice. They're ringing around for a price. You're paying $6 to give free advice, and occasionally 2 or 3 of them a month might turn into an actual matter. And then you're constantly faced with this dilemma of factoring in the cost you're paying for them to reach your business, and then the return you're getting on the investment overall. Mm-hmm. And I drew a conclusion very early on, particularly after about a 6-month period, that I probably could have taken the money I'd spent on AdWords, taken it outside, put it in the middle of the road, set it on fire, and I probably would have had just about the same outcome. And I realised very quickly, looking at it after the dust had settled and the investment was done and the return just wasn't there, that in the particular Melbourne CBD, that cost per click, you're absolutely competing for that advertising space. And I looked on Google, it has this tool that tells you how many people are in the area. 250 law firms within a 5-kilometre radius from me, right?
Yeah.
I walked away from that very, very concerned about, how do you actually present yourself online and market yourself online when there's that much competition buying for that real estate. And so I was very much burnt by AdWords, and I started looking at very traditional ways of marketing, referral people, just cold calling sometimes, getting myself to those kind of events where I could be connected with people who have particularly got a legal issue, everything but chasing ambulances down and hanging around outside of court. But it was on the agenda, right? If I had wanted to get there, I was going to be down in the emergency department. Are you okay? Did this happen in the workplace? So interestingly enough, I actually moved the office from Queen Street in the city down to Altona. And I found, and this is a great tip for all the punters out there, I found, when I configured Google so I had my office down there, that even if you type my business name in after I'd moved in, it wasn't coming up on the first page. And I thought, this is a real dilemma, because I was the only lawyer in Altona pretty much, and no one could find me. So I actually engaged a marketing company, and I'll give point out to them, Thrive Marketing, and said to them, because I knew this fact, I knew that Google AdWords pushes you up on the first page, right? Just the cost per click, because you're always there, it automatically starts improving your search engine optimization. So I said, look, I'd like to run a really cheap and cheerful ad just in Altona, just to push me up a bit for a month or so people can find me. I had no confidence in Google AdWords at all, right? Mm-hmm. But I just needed to get up there. And no problem. So the good people at Thrive Marketing set it all up for me. And I think they turned it on at about 10 o'clock, right, in the morning. And by 11:30, I'd accumulated something like $4,500 worth of matter. So in an hour and a half, it was just extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And it just continued along that line, right? Because I just really was the only lawyer in Altona. And there was a sort of local
targeting a suburb.
Yeah, just targeting a suburb. And that was quite extraordinary. I mean, it's a huge learning experience because all of a sudden I wasn't out in the Melbourne CBD competing with the likes of Slater and Gordon and everyone else, Russell Kennedy, they're all there. I was just the lone guy out in Altona. And we expanded that footprint. We sort of got Yarraville, Brooklyn, all the way through to Werribee, and bang, that became my client base. Mm-hmm. And my business just absolutely went gangbusters. And so much so, I've always been a firm believer as you grow your business in line with your revenue. You never, I'm a real bootstrapper. I've always been a bit of a startup guy, and being in the legal fraternity, it's a very expensive business to have because insurance and stuff is quite costly. So I started just chipping up my marketing spend online, and then I really captured that area, and then I've gone and then just done it again. I started targeting Brighton all the way up to Frankston, and so what I've sort of done is I've looked for those hotspots around Melbourne and the CBD where there's not so much competition for the real estate. I'm getting a lower cost per click, and that's how I've been picking up all our customers. We, of course, aren't in Altona anymore. We ended up with an office in Altona, one in Brighton and one in the CBD. Now we're all in we've still got Altona, but we're in St Kilda Road now.
Online marketing scares the shit out of people in professional services like me. Because there's so many stories that it doesn't work, like your original one. It doesn't work. But I guess if you do target an area and you become the only person there, it's almost like when you go to a local football club and everyone's talking about you because, well, you're the only financial planner there, or you're the only mortgage broker there, or the only lawyer that everyone knows. Nowadays with Google, if you're the first one that pops up and they keep seeing you, I guess you're going to establish a pretty good reputation. And then, of course, you have to deliver.
That's right. You do have to deliver.
If you don't deliver, the wheels don't keep turning.